What is the creepiest experience you've had while alone at home? Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel. My wife was out of town visiting her sister and took the kid and the dog with her. House to myself. I'm going to eat like crap, watch crap on TV, and crap with the door open. Basically, a bunch of good crap. Sun started going down, and I was in sweatpants. Binging through some DVDs. Next I looked up, and it was dark outside. Figured I should shut the blinds as I'm shirtless in sweatpants eating chicken wings. As I went to the first window, I saw a random dude walking up the front sidewalk to our door. I quickly ducked out of view. TV was still going in full view of the window by the front door. Doorbell rings. Doorbell rang again. 2 more times. I then heard some rustling of the bushes underneath that front window. I snuck out, avoiding the view of the window, and upstairs to a room with a view of the front of the house. The dude was looking in the downstairs window. He could clearly see the TV playing. After a few agonizing minutes, he walked back onto the sidewalk and out into the darkness. I decided to stay upstairs and watch TV up there. Sometime later I wake up on the couch. It was a little after midnight. I had fallen asleep watching TV, turned off the upstairs TV, and heard the noise of the downstairs TV still playing the DVD menu music. Half asleep, I walked down the stairs, turned off the TV, hit the lights, then walked back upstairs to hit the sack. I had been in bed for probably 15 minutes when doorbell rings. I bolted up in bed, fully awake. The bell rang again. Then there was some knocking. I crept out of my bedroom and back to the room with a view of the front of the house. As I looked out of the window I saw the same guy from earlier walking off the front porch and back onto the sidewalk going by the side of the house. I wondered what the hell was going on when I heard knock, knock, knock on the back door. The guy had to open the gate to our backyard to get there. My wife was always on me about not locking the back gate because our back door deadbolt wouldn't fully lock, leaving only the lock on the doorknob. I went to the bedroom and peeked out into the backyard through the blinds. I didn't have a view of the back door, but could see the rest of the yard. After 3 or so more rounds of knocking, I see the guy walk back to the gate, open it, and leave the yard. I never figured out who that guy was. He was wearing a baseball cap, jeans and a t-shirt, and wasn't immediately recognizable. He never came back. I chalked it up to living in an area with rampant meth use. I'd heard similar stories of encounters with strange people wandering the larger community, but not in my immediate neighborhood. Needless to say I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I rode out the darkness, sat upstairs with a softball bat and chef's knife nearby. I was working upstairs and home alone. I heard a huge bang from the direction of my front door, then heard the familiar door open chime from my alarm. Then my dog flew downstairs barking, grabbed my handgun. One of only 2 times I've done this, announced from the top of the stairs that I was armed, and if someone was there they should leave immediately. No response. Came downstairs to find the house was secure, but I could hear shouting outside. Turns out the neighbors were fighting, and the one guy slammed his front door so hard it triggered my own door alarm, and frightened both me and the dog. The guy was a total asshole, and this was one of the incidents that lead to his boyfriend kicking him out. His boyfriend came over later to apologize for the ruckus. Sleeping alone home. Mom was working overnight. Sister at sleepover. I locked everything and turned off all lights, but during the night I could hear light switches being touched, floor squeaking and banging on the walls. When I woke up some of my lights were on in the living room. I thought maybe my mom had come home early, but no one was there. Still don't know what happened. Does it count if you have a child and dog with you? I was at my sister's house, babysitting my nephew, and he was about 2. He and the dog were laying on the couch and we were watching a movie. All of a sudden the dog jumped up to stand on the couch growling, but moving his head back and forth, like he was trying to look in every direction of the room kind of. Then my nephew got off the couch and went to the window, which had the curtains closed and no see-through, and just stares. After he did that, the dog also went to the closed curtain and stared and growled. I loaded up my nephew and the dog and went to my house for the rest of the night. Everyone that was ever in that house alone said that it was extremely unsettling. This actually happened a couple nights ago. I was home with my 2 dogs and my 2 kids, but they are both under the age of 4. It was 9 PM at night, and where I live it is fairly dark by then. My son came up to my bed and woke me up to tell me that one of my fiance's friends was at the door. I didn't hear a doorbell or knock, so I told him to stay upstairs and went to open the door. It was a man dressed in a security salesman uniform, and as I was half asleep in my pajamas, I was a little shocked seeing it wasn't actually our family friend. I step outside, and the first question that the salesman asks is your husband home? Me getting an odd feeling, since our street is not a very busy street and we don't ever really get solicitors, was to tell him yes, he is on his way, when in actuality he is 4 hours away working in another city. After many questions that at 9 PM seemed very suspicious. Do you have a security system? Do you have any cameras? I started thinking about how easy it would actually be for someone to know that I'm home alone most of the time. I told the gentleman that I need to get my children to bed and right now is not the best time, and ask for a card, which he tells me they do not carry cards, and leaves walking down the street, not stopping at any other houses. After being shaken up all night, I called the security system place in the morning for who he claimed to work for. He was a legit salesman, and that morning I set up a security system with them on that call because of how spooked I was. Good sale tactic, I guess, because he sure scared the shit out of me. Okay, I know this doesn't count, but when I was about 23 I was sleeping when my girlfriend at the time silently shook me awake. I opened my eyes, and in the quietest whisper she said to me, there is someone in the house. So of course I had to go check. Found nothing, but our dog had laid on the TV remote, and it turned it on. That's why she thought someone came in. But I can tell you, when she said that, my stomach dropped, and I was very scared. Not me, but my older brother. He was around 12 at the time when alone during summer vacation. Me and my younger 2 brothers were at summer camp. Anyway, he's just doing dishes when through the kitchen window he sees a black car pull up our driveway. Certainly not turning around, because the car stayed still for a while. My brother, terrified as he was, took a steak knife, grabbed the landline phone, and hid. He called my mom, who said she'd be coming as she could, though she was working fairly far away. Maybe half an hour later, the doors of the car open. A man walks out and stays in the driveway. Doesn't walk around or up to the house. Doesn't talk to anyone on the phone, and I believe he was by himself. He just stands there, just existing. Minutes go by as he jumps in his car and speeds away. Right as my mom pulls in, she gets out of her car and starts walking down the decently long driveway and comes across a walkie-talkie that certainly was there when she left. Obviously the man in the black car left it. My mom turns it on, and on every channel there are animal noises. Pigs, elephants, monkeys, anything. What's weirder, there was also people imitating the noises. My mom was explaining the situation over the talkie and how it got left on our property. Nobody responded and just kept pretending to be wild animals. It was just a bizarre experience that none of us will forget. My conclusion about the business-suited man who came out of that car, formal furry. It was the 4th or 5th night that I'd spent in my new apartment, having recently moved from San Francisco to Baton Rouge. While the two cities weren't nearly as dissimilar as I'd feared, there were still a number of differences between them, like the cacophony of insects that seemed to be perpetually present outside my bedroom window. To make matters worse, I hadn't yet received my furniture, which meant that I was sleeping, or at least attempting to sleep, on an air mattress, so the combination of sounds and sensations was working wonders at keeping me awake. On its own, this set of circumstances was certainly annoying, but not at all scary. That changed when a new sound reached my ears, as I was lying there, trying to mentally drown out the bug-based chorus. An utterly alien noise pierced through the night, its nature not unlike a low mournful howl crossed with the deepest and most furious bark I'd ever encountered. If you were to imagine a bear shouting in anguish and rage, you wouldn't be far off from envisioning what I heard, and if you were to then dump a glass of ice water down your spine, you'd have a decent idea of how it made me feel. Maybe I was just homesick, or maybe a lack of sleep had left me more sensitive to strange sounds in the darkness. Either way, I was suddenly gripped by panic, wondering what could be out there. I knew that Louisiana was home to alligators, and I wondered if I was hearing the hunting cries of one. Although the rational part of my mind tried to argue that an oversized lizard couldn't possibly enter my house, I was nonetheless frozen by a variety of fear that I hadn't felt since I was a child. Even during an earlier night in that location, when I'd thought I had heard someone trying to break in, I had been less terrified than the noise had made me. The call echoed through the night at least once more, and although I'm sure that my mind was playing tricks on me, it almost sounded like it was moving closer. I gripped my covers, straining my ears to listen for any approaching footsteps or dragging tails, but the discordant symphony of six-legged vermin masked anything else. Fatigue eventually caught up with me, and I drifted off into that restless variety of sleep that one suffers when their mind is still reeling from the effects of adrenaline. The next morning, after the insect orchestra had decided to observe an intermission, I stumbled out my front door, intent on walking the 20 or so meters to my mailbox. As soon as my slipper-clad feet touched my welcome mat, though, the otherworldly sound from the previous night echoed through the air again. Only this time, I recognized it as being the call of an apparently irritated cow. Suffice to say, the feeling was mutual. TL. Doctor, an enormous beast kept me up at night with its angry howls.